Whoa.
CQ the old friends net. CQ the old friends net. This is WA4LLR, Dave in Burnsville, North Carolina, calling CQ the old friends net. This net meets 3 times weekly on this frequency, Tuesdays and Thursdays at 8 a.m., Sunday afternoons at 4 p.m. The net is conducted in the amplitude modulation mode, carried out in the round table format. This net is designed mainly to cater to vintage equipment, but any station capable of generating an AM signal is welcome to participate. So, stations that would like to be a part of the Old Friends Net today, give me a call and come down.
N4LQ.
KZ4 Bravo.
KN4R.
K3OS.
WB4NKL. W4MEC.
All right, I have heard the following: N4LQ, KZ4B, WB4ARK, KN4R, K3OS, WB4NKL, and W4MEC. Are there other check-ins? All right, one more time down the list. N4LQ, KZ4B, WB4ARK, KN4R, K3OS, WB4NKL, W4MEC. Anyone else? All right, nothing heard. Good morning. Signals sound good. Band seems to be in pretty good shape. We've got about 35, 36 degrees up here in the eastern jungles of Yancey County. And clear skies. Look like it's going to be a beautiful day. They're saying we're going up to about 67 today. So, happy days. Let's see, Steve, let's see what's happening in the city of Pleasant Living. N4LQ, WA4LLR.
WA4LLR, N4LQ. All right, Dave, good morning to you and to everybody on the list this morning. All the signals are strong, and a little noise from down below us there. The quackers are quacking. But otherwise, everything's fine. It's 39 degrees in Shelby, and supposed to get up to 68 today and be a sunny day. So another one. Yesterday was beautiful, and I enjoyed it. 65 yesterday. And we're just sitting here with the Ameco TX86 transmitter running a blistering 8 watts, I believe, into the AL82 and the Drake 2A receiver. So, good morning to you, John. KZ4B to take it, N4LQ.
Very good. N4LQ in the group, KZ4B, fine business there, Steve. Conditions do seem to be quite excellent, and it looks like my antenna has dried off. The SWR is down where it should be, and I need to waterproof something, but that's another story. So looking forward to some warmer weather. I am sick of winter. So buddy, take it away. WB4ARK in the group, KZ4B, over.
KZ4B, WB4ARK. Okay, John. Well, looks like gonna be another nice day here in Lake Wylie. The yesterday was really good, and the temperature here right now is about 35 degrees, and it looks like it's going to go up into the mid 60s or a little higher. So we're looking for another very good day today. So the sun is shining, not a cloud in the sky that I can see from the west, and so that's it. So over to KN4R. This is WB4ARK.
Okay, buddy, very good. WB4ARK in the group. KN4R, Sherrills Fort, North Carolina, where it's also a beautiful day and 39 degrees. And looking forward to some nice weather outside today. My wife's been very encouraging. She keeps saying, well, you need to work outside today. You need to work outside today. So I guess that's what I'll do. And just to let you know, give you a pup report. The two pups, Beaner and Schnitzel, are doing great. They're really smart dogs, and they still haven't barked yet. So that's pretty good. So I'm on the GRC9, if you couldn't tell. A little solid state amp running about 65 watts or so. Jay, how about you? What's going on? K3OS in the group, KN4R.
KN4R, K3OS. Hey, thank you, Brian. Good morning. Good morning, everyone. I was late getting here, so I didn't have a chance to fire up the tube stuff this morning, so I'm on the solid state gear, running about, the ICOM running about, it looks a little up here. I don't know why the power's up. It says about 120. I'll cut it back a little bit, kind of crept up on me. Anyway, beautiful day here as it is everywhere else. And for a change, at least the white stuff is gone, finally. Holy Toledo. Anyway, and not working outside today, but I am working in the garage. I've got some, I'm doing some fix-up work and paint up and speckling and all that stuff over the house. And so that's a continuing project, as you can well imagine. So that's what's going on. Over to Cliff, WB4NKL, K3OS.
Yeah, K3OS, it's WB4NKL. Good morning. I've got, it's up to 37 degrees, started out about 33, but it's warming up, supposed to be up in the 60s like everybody else sounds like.
and warm all week, or the days. But then the weather guy up here keeps on mentioning that snow word for the weekend. So I guess February we can expect anything. Good to be in here. Sort of got back in the routine after the 6 days down in Florida. Had some 80-degree weather down there, so enjoyed that while I was down. Won't hold it, keep it on, keep it going. Go ahead, Charlie. W4, MEC, WB4, NKL.
Okay, Cliff, WB4, NKL, and your friends, W4MEC. Good morning, fellas. We got about 30 degrees here, and it's clear. Skies are clear, but there are some clouds out there, white fluffy ones. So, nice day so far. And not a whole lot going on here. It's like Gary said, just taking care of business, projects. Trying to find a Clixon 200F. That doesn't cost $70 or $90, and apparently Clixon was bought by another company. That used to be a pretty standard American-made product. There, you find them everywhere, and but finding a distributor now is impossible. It's gone back to one of those companies that you got to have a tax certificate or tax number to buy from. They're only a wholesaler, so can't find any out there individually unless I want to buy a box of them or or whatever. And you only need one, So we'll keep our search out for that little gadget and move it on from there. But anyway. So yeah, I need to get some yard work done here also, and I got to get I got this pampas would be stuck up grass, but this is pampas grass, so out there, and I need to get down there and cut all the dead stuff off there and let the new green stuff come up. So that's pretty critical to take care of that, because if you don't, it all lays down and makes a big mess. So anyway, back to you, Dave. WA4LLR in the group, W4MEC.
All right, Charlie, fine business. Okay, let me stand by. Do we have any other check-ins for the old friends? Come now.
K4JL.
Well, there's Mr. Jimmy. We've been missing you, buddy. K4JAL. Anyone else? Well, the carrier with no audio. Try it again.
KF4DRN.
Okay, got you that time, Greg. KF4DRN. Any others? Okay, Jimmy, come on in here and tell us something. Wonder if you've talked to Don lately. I've not heard from him in a while. I need to call him. And then give it over to Greg. Greg, you can give it back to me. K4JAL, WA4LLR.
WA4LLR, K4JAL. Well, good morning, everybody. I'm on a rice box and giving a solid 25 watts. So hopefully I'm getting out. Yeah, I saw Don yesterday. He seems to be percolating along pretty good. Saw him down at Smoky. But I hadn't seen him for a week before that, and I've been sleeping in so that radio is going to pass me by if I don't start getting out of the bed. So much for that. KF4DRN, K4JAL. Over to you, Greg. Hope you're doing well.
K4JAL, KF4DRN, the group. Good morning, everyone. 36 degrees here last time I checked. I wasn't tuned up good there. It took me just a moment to get tuned up, but I'm using DX40 heat kit and BF1, BFO this morning. Don't have the amp on it currently, but anyway, I'd have to tune it up here if I turned it on. but it wouldn't take just a moment to do that. But anyway, good to be in here. Hope everyone else is doing okay. And I'll pass it back around. Here comes Dave, WA4LLR, KF4DRN.
All right, fine business, Greg. Copying you just fine, barefoot on the DX40. Jimmy, we'll forgive you, I guess, for sleeping in and using a rice box. But hopefully you can get in bed earlier or whatever it needs so you can get up and talk to us. Glad to hear Don's okay. Been trying to talk him into turning the radio on, but he's in one of those stretches where radio's not important. Hopefully the cycle will come back around. All right, let me see. Anyone else for the old friends? Come now. All right, nothing heard. Well, Charlie, good luck on the house project and the outside work and the pampas grass and so on and so forth. Cliff sounded good as always this morning. And Gary, the ICOM's bringing you through okay. Brian, man, you're the loudest thing on the band here this morning with that JRC9. Holy mackerel, I had to grab the audio knob real quick. And I believe you said the pups' names were Beer and Schnitzel. Did I get that right? German heritage. Okay. And yeah, looks like it's going to be a good day to work outside. Buddy, looks like it'll be a beautiful day at the lake today for you. And John, I'm with you. It only takes about 1 or 2 days of cold weather to get me in the mood for spring. The joints don't ache as much when the weather is above 70 degrees. Steve, the Ameco sounds good up this way. I'm running the Lazy Man's rig, the Johnson Viking 500 and the 183D. Well, let's see. Space weather is really calm. We've got sunspot count of 69, solar flux index of 117, the case 2. A few things from this day in history. On this day in 1996, Garry Kasparov, world chess champion, triumphed over IBM's Deep Blue computer. It was a 6-game match. The machine beat him on the first round, which didn't make him very happy. They tied on 2 games, and he won the last 3. So that was the showdown there. I'll bet he couldn't do it today, but I don't know. We shall see. With AI, I don't think he'd have a chance. On this day in 2021, Rush Limbaugh died at age 70. I miss Rush. I enjoyed listening to him. On this day in 1996, earthquake and tsunami hit Indonesia and took the lives of 108 people, 423 injured, and 58 missing. On this day in 1992, Jeffrey Dahmer was sentenced to 15 consecutive life sentences, but he was murdered by a fellow inmate in prison. On this day in 1864, during the Civil War, the Confederate submarine Hunley became the first submarine to sink an enemy ship down in Charleston. And on this day in 1801, Thomas Jefferson was elected 3rd president of the U.S. That's enough for that. Steve, here it comes. N4LQ, WA4LLR.
WA4LLR, this is N4LQ. Turning the audio down here a little bit. It's a little hot on the TX86. Let's see here. Well, Brian, and I think Brian said his dog's names were Wiener and Schnitzel. And that's some kind of German food, I believe. I don't think I've ever eaten that. But they do look like some kind of sausage, I guess. Little miniature dachshunds. They're cute. and I think you said you had to put a ramp or something going up to the couch. I wonder if they are ever able to learn to jump up that high, or can they get on the bed? I think you told me one time they could, but I'm not sure. The GRC9, it's definitely nothing quite like that sound. It's, I'm not sure what to compare it to. A goose and somebody with a sore throat. I don't know. It's amazing, but it is loud, like Dave said. And let's see, Jimmy, K4JAL. I had two people tell me that you tried to check in Sunday, and we kept listening for you, and you never showed up. And I have not figured out what happened, and I don't know if it was a figment of other people's imagination or if you were actually there. So, how about informing me or relieving me of that thought? Anyway, let's see here. Charlie, I don't know what you're talking about. A clips-on. I tried looking that up, and I got wigs and hair pieces and things like that. It's I don't know what that is. A clips-on. So maybe you can straighten me out. All right. Let's see. I think that's about all we've got here so far. And oh, Dave, you said the 500 was a lazy man's rig. I can't figure that out. That thing is a monster, and it probably has to be tuned up real carefully before you're liable to melt something. So I would think that you got to be wide awake when you're running that thing. Anyway, over to John. KZ4B, N4LQ.
Okay, N4LQ in the group KZ4B, fine business. Steve, you're booming in here. Wonder how much power, you said 8 watts driving the AL82. What are you getting out of the AL82? Because that should be about what I would get with the HT40 Helicrafters, in theory. Let's see. I too would like to know what a click-on is. It sounds sort of familiar, but it doesn't ring a bell. And with regard to the Hunley, Dave, if anybody makes it down to Charleston, it's on display, and it's most fascinating, well worth your trip. And I think Clemson got together with, I forget the guy's name. He was a jet ski buddy of my son's, because he liked Honda jet skis, and but he ran a antique, military antique, like Enfield rifles, Civil War surplus stuff, and for years in the old slave market, and the federal government was trying to take over the Hunley, and this guy was an attorney, and he was I think a member of the South Carolina legislature, and he said, screw that. We're going to take the Hunley, and he won. And, and the reason was that the federal government is entitled to any contraband or anything that was owned by the federal government, the Confederacy. But the Hunley was not sponsored by the Confederacy. It was a private endeavor, and they could not seize private property. They did, but in theory they couldn't. And of course today you're supposed to play by the rules. Got that, Democrats? Anyway, so that's it. So, buddy, take it away. WB4ARK and the group KZ4B, over.
KZ4B, WB4ARK. Yeah, we've seen the Hunley a number of times down there in Charleston. We used to go down there quite a bit. Well, let's see, we're on the 32V3, in case I didn't mention. R390A receiver, horizontal dipole. And yeah, I would like to know what a click-on is also. Charlie, you left everybody hanging there. Never even heard of one. So, and it's interesting that you can't purchase one because you need a tax ID number. I mean, what's that about? Companies don't typically do that anymore. That's an old issue there. Well, I guess there's not much else going on here. It's good. Oh, and I did hear Jimmy call in on Sunday. I definitely heard you call in, Jim. You were there, but you didn't come back. So it'd be interesting to know what happened. So with that, we'll turn it over to Brian. KN4R, WB4ARK.
Okay, buddy. WB4ARK in the group, KN4R, returning on the GRC9. Steve, part of that frogginess is my throat, and but anyway, this GRC9 is just a fun rig, and it's easy to change between 3715 and 3885, and I also use it on the old military radio net, CW net, Sunday nights on 3558. And I just got an Autech BF1 audio filter, which I have in line now, and that helps a little bit on the QRM on CW. But so yeah, the pups' names are Wiener, V-E-E-N-E-R. That's Wiener, but with a V, and then Schnitzel, not spelled the correct way, but so that's the, and we do have a ramp going up to the couch. My neighbor actually made it, and has a piece of carpet on it, and my wife only had to show the pups once how to go up and down it, and they use it all the time now. And her brother just gave us it's like a 4 or a 5 foot ramp. It's still in the box in my car, and we're going to use it maybe up to the bed. But they've been sleeping in the cage, and they don't cry. Well, they whimper. One of them whimpers but doesn't cry. But anyway, they've been great pups so far. So the wife is real happy. And as far as tax ID number, the Charlotte Hamfest, before you can be a flea market vendor, quote unquote, you have to provide a tax ID number or a disclaimer saying that it's for my personal property. And that's what I've done for 15 years. There's just a form that you fill out and say this is for my personal use or from my personal state, and then you don't have to have a tax ID number. So it may be that you can get around that, Charlie. And by the way, Brown went to Orlando, and he traded for a BC 610 Bravo, 16, which is an E, but it has more meters. Like it's closer to the original HT4. Anyway, it's in a disassembled state, but he says he thinks it's all there except for the tubes. And the last time I talked to him, he was saying that he's probably not going to keep it because he already has an E and has a T368 and all sorts of other stuff. So anyway, just to let everybody know, if someone's looking for an interesting BC610B project, talk to Brown. So I think that's all for me. Back to you, Gary, and my hat's off to you for painting and speckling and all that, because I I no longer like to do that kind of stuff. K3OS in the group, KN4R.
Thanks, Brian. Yeah, it sounds like you're on some battlefield. You know, it's got that military sound to it. Really neat. You know, or you're up in a plane somewhere. KN4R, K3OS. Yeah, well, good. And congratulations on the new dogs as well, by the way. Glad they're working out for you. Well, I do not like painting, and I do not like spackling, and I do not like anything. But trying to get somebody over here to do some of this little, you know, these little chores is just incredibly difficult, as most of you probably will appreciate. So I decided to tackle some of that myself, since I can do it, and I can get it done when I want it. And now that I was waiting for the weather to break before working in the garage. You know, yesterday actually turned out to be quite nice in the garage. You know, opened the door, got a little warmer in there, and things went pretty well. So, you know, getting reasonably pleased at those results here. Looking outside now, I hate outside work. I have what I call a black thumb. So I have a guy who does my lawn and all that stuff. And in fact, I had to prod him the other day. He's coming over. We're going to get the pre-emergent and the fertilizer on hopefully this week, and get the grass starting to come up. You know, got trees budding, as probably some of you do. So maybe Mother Nature knows that warmer weather is on the way. Over to you, Cliff. WB4NKL, K3OS.
K3OS, WB4NKL. Okay, good copy all the way around. Band's in pretty good condition. Steve, the Ameco sounds great. I keep forgetting about mine back here on the shelf. So I must start cycling through some of these transmitters. Seems like I sit down over here at the Globe King most of the time, and I will try to get the Mars on there maybe by Thursday. Give it a test. Let's see, Jimmy, good morning to you. Sounds like you've been picking up Don's habits there, sleeping in, and you'll be like him, spending all night, and then get on the net if you stay up late enough. But that's a good deal. And the Wiener Schnitzel, we got a restaurant up here in Johnson City, a German restaurant, Freiberg's. And it's one of my favorite places, and I have had the Wiener Schnitzel, and it's just like home cooking. Most of the time it just got a German name. And let's see, on my notes here, the clicks on Charlie, I don't think those guys have worked on any pump motors or anything. If I'm, it's what I'm thinking about is the overload protector in a motor. But that's where I've seen them. I guess they're in a lot of motors, but I've run into them in well pump motors. So over to you, W4MEC, WB4NKL.
Okay, Cliff, WB4NKL in the group, W4MEC. Well, Clixon, for years I thought that was a name, just a name to call this little gadget, because that's what it did. It clicked on. But it turns out it's actually Clixon, Klixon. And they are a thermal protector, and you see them many places. You might find one in your amplifier inside the PA cage. I think my this Kenwood amp has one in there, but it's usually located where you need to open a circuit due to high temperature. And they do make them go the other way too, but most of them open on high temperature, of various temperatures, and you'd get them in different, open range, and that was usually the model number. Like a Clixon 200F would be open at 200 degrees. So anyway, they're about big around as a nickel. And a lot of them have push-on terminals on them, or screw terminals, and usually two tabs to screw them down to something. And some of them are held in place with a clip. They don't have any hold down or anything. So anyway, but yeah, there's still online companies, especially industrial suppliers, that won't sell you anything without a tax number. And right now, that's the only place I could find one. So anyway, they got some on Amazon, so I'll probably end up going with one of those. But anyway, and I think I saw what I needed in my local hardware store. We got Lewis Williams and Sons has been here 98 years in the hardware business and the automotive parts business at one time. But you know, it's your perfect old school hardware store where you can buy one of something, and they have everything that you could possibly need. At one time, they focused on people with mobile homes, and there was a lot of mobile home parts in there. And I went in yesterday and asked about the fellow that used to cut glass and make screens, and he said, sorry, well, he passed on, and no one ever came along to take over his job or wanted to do it, you know. But you could go down there and tell him you need a screen of a certain size, and in a couple of days he'd have one put together for you. You know, aluminum frame screen, or if you needed a window glass or something like that, he'd cut it for you. So, but that's gone now. So, I need a bunch of screens for this house project, and I started pricing them out. It was like $40 a piece. So. I'd end up staple gunning some screens over the whole window, screen material. So anyway, so much for that. Oh, the Wiener Schnitzel, I don't know if that's how you say it. We also have got a great German restaurant here, Haus Heidelberg, and the only time I've had that is when we get the what is it called? It's basically the sausage sampler, and you get 6 different sausages of different kinds depending on what they got, and you can try 6 different kinds there, and I've had that a couple times. But we go to the German restaurant only when it's cold. We never go in the summertime. We decided German food is for cold weather only, and we get there, get that sausage sampler, and they have one called basically it's a sampler for everything, all kinds of, I can't think of all the different foods. There's about 6 different meats, and red cabbage and sauerkraut and roasted potatoes, and for 2, so you get 2 of everything. So and it's actually the cheapest deal for 2 people to eat there. So even though it looks expensive on the menu, it's cheaper than 2 people buying 2 entirely different entrees. So anyway, but again, only in cold weather for us. So anyway, K4JAL, over to you, Jimmy, W4MEC.
W4MEC, K4JAL. Well, Brian, I got to take you to task on Wiener and Schnitzel. Wiener is named after a sausage that is prevalent in Vienna, Austria. A Wiener, or a Wiener, goes for hot dog, but Wiener Schnitzel is a Vienna veal cutlet, one of my favorite meals. And I'm going to go to Johnson City and find that restaurant, Cliff, so I can have me some genuine Wiener Schnitzel. It's good stuff. And no, I was nowhere near the radio on Sunday. Sorry, buddy, it must have been a lookalike. Wasn't me. So there you go. KF4DRN, K4JAL. Over to you, Greg.
K4JAL, KF4DRN. Interesting topics this morning, and I've heard of Wiener Schnitzels, and I've never eaten any, I don't think. But sometimes I fix Polish sausage with cabbage in it, seasoned cabbage, and pretty good. Sometimes I'll throw a few mushrooms in there with it too when I fix it. But anyway, it's just something I come up with, I guess. And might find out what some of you all use in your antenna tuners if you use a tuner. Got a roller inductor tuner, it's MFJ. I had to clean it yesterday, the roller inductor, and need some input about whether I should use graphite and grease mixed on that roller inductor rod that the little pulley wheel follows, follows on winding. And I just cleaned it, and I didn't put any kind of lubricant on it. Should I? That's my question, I guess. WA4LL or KF4DRA?
All right, fine business, Greg. Let me stand by one more time. Do we have any other check-ins for the old friends? Come now. All right, nothing heard. Okay, a lot of good information. Let's see. I'm interested to hear what folks say about lubricant on the tuners as well. I've just used contact cleaner on my roller inductors and switches, but yeah, I want to hear what you all have about lubrication. And Jimmy, I didn't think you were there Sunday because we're only about 3 miles apart, and I hear you regardless of who's transmitting, and I never heard you. So I was thinking, man, that was some strange van conditions if everybody's hearing Jimmy but me. Charlie, on the Clixon, we always just called them limit switches when we were in the gas business, and I was just looking online. I just Googled limit switches. There's an outfit called Supply House, and they sell their limit switches anywhere from $4.50 to about $6 or $7 a piece. I think you said somebody wanted $70 or $80 for one. That's insane. So unless we're talking about two different things, it's just a contact switch that you screw to a surface with your push tabs on it, and it either opens or closes a certain temperature. Google limit switches and see what you come up with. But outfit called Supply House has got quite an assortment of them for reasonable prices. Let's see, Freiberg's. Cliff, you're killing me. I've not had breakfast yet, man. And yeah, Wiener Schnitzel, man, I love that stuff. Veal cutlets, breaded veal cutlets. Oh yeah. And Gary, I believe you said the trees were budding down your way. Man, that seems like that's a bit early. But Brian, I got the names corrected. Maybe I was thinking about beer and pretzels, but anyway, Wiener and Schnitzel. All right. 32 V3 sounds good, buddy. And John, I'm hoping for an early spring, and I know you are too. And Steve, the reason I said the 500 was a lazy man's rig is the fact that I can usually set it on a frequency and come back in a day or so it's still on that frequency, and all I have to do is flip it up, flip it on, look at the meters, and make sure nothing's changed, and it's right there. So I usually don't hop back and forth between frequencies on it. I usually just keep certain rigs set on one frequency and the others on another one. Now this week I have switched back and forth on the 500 between 3715 and 3885. But if you leave it on one frequency, you flip it on and go as a rule. I'm not one to do a lot of QSY. So that's my story, and I'm sticking to it. So let's head back around. N4LQ, WA4LLR.
Okay, WA4LLR, N4LQ. My power output says 225 watts. Last night it was 300. It all depends on how much power I'm putting into the amplifier, and of course that's done by the TX86, and the amount of power that it puts out has a lot to do with how much drive I've got, and I sometimes deliberately crank the drive up a little high to get the power down, and I get a higher percentage of modulation that way. I'm not sure why the RF drive into the final has so much to do with the modulation percentage, but it seems to be true of just about any rig I've had. One of the funny things about the Ameco is the band switch is backwards. So fully clockwise is 80 meters, fully counterclockwise is 6 meters. So yeah, it covers 80 through 6 meters backwards. Now, I'd like to hear more about that CW net that I think Brian mentioned on 3558 on Sunday. I don't have the time, so maybe that's in the evening, I guess, I would think. Anyway, I'd like to listen in on that one. There used to be a net for, what was that British wireless set, 19. Mir used to check into that, and it was up on the upper part of the band, I believe. I don't know if that still exists or not. So Jimmy, I was net control Sunday, and I said I'm going to listen for additional check-ins, and came back and said, well, I didn't hear anything, and then Brian sent me a text message, said, I heard Jimmy, K4JAL. And I thought, now, if you had been there, I think I would have heard you. But anyway, on the next round, Buddy said, I heard him too. I thought, okay, somehow 2 people can hear you, but I can't. And it really had me going. Now, the question is, what on earth did, apparently it was some kind of subliminal suggestive type thing did it for Buddy. I don't know. Anyway, now we know you were nowhere near the radio. Okay, well, let's see here. I think, oh yeah, that clicks on. I looked it up. Finally, I got the spelling right. Klixon. No, I never heard of it. But yeah, I looked. It came up with that supply place, and you could just add it to your card. I don't know. I wouldn't give anybody my tax ID number. I don't know what that's got to do with the price of tea in China. Anyway, Cliff, I'm anxious to hear that Mars. If I had a carbon mic, I'd just go ahead and use it. The D104. It's distorted and it's real tinny sounding, and I'm just wondering how bad the carbon mic sounds. It might sound like a GRC9. I thought that was funny what Gary said. You sound like you're in an airplane, but yeah, it sounds like you're in a biplane. Snoopy and the Red Baron, but yeah, it's got that sound, that's for sure. All right, I'm turning it over to John. KZ4B, N4LQ.
Okay, N4LQ in the group KZ4B. Thanks for the feedback on the power levels there, Steve. That gives me an idea of what kind of output I can expect. Shifting gears, on lubricating tuners. Paddle Store will sell the graphite and lubriplate mixture, but Tintec never used it. And my opinion is that if you get the graphite stuff, it's very hard to get it on the roller without getting it on the coil. And if you get it on the coil, it being a conductive material, can arc between the turns, and it usually the rollers are ceramic, and it gets to looking pretty crappy. So if the tuner doesn't already have the graphite mix, I try to avoid it. And as far as cleaning the coils, if the silver gets tarnished, if you use a high concentration of alcohol, that kind of blows my mind. You wouldn't think alcohol would take away silver polish, I mean tarnish, but it does. And if you buy the fuel like at Lowe's, which is a very high concentration, as opposed to like your medicinal isopropyl that you get at the drugstore, that works even better. And so I try to avoid the graphite if the thing is not squeaking. Sometimes on some roller inductors, the roller will actually hang up on the bar. It's supposed to turn and move along the bar even unlubricated, but sometimes they'll hang up, and if that happens, you kind of need to use the graphite. But if you can avoid it, I would. And incidentally, I just finished rebuilding two 229Bs, as in boy or Bravo. That was one of the rarer Ten-Tech tuners that was in a real nice looking aluminum cabinet, as opposed to the later ones that had the cheap crappy plastic inserts on the side that will crack and break, and I just don't like plastic. They're not real common tuners, and they had the slide rule dial, but I get the stainless steel roller pulley. You only need one that goes in there, and then you buy the micro spring, which is an 1/16 of an inch diameter spring, 22.5 inches long. And if anybody needs any, I can sell you some. It's about $25 for the pair, and because you know, everything's stainless, but that'll last forever. If you use the textile spring, which is just an elastic band, if you don't take all the tension off of it, which means you have to detune the antenna tuner every time, it won't last hardly a year. But with a microspring, you can leave it set forever, and it doesn't lose its tension. So I guess I'll beat that horse to death. So buddy, you're sounding good as usual. Take it away. Let's see, WB4ARK in the group, KZ4B, over.
WB4ARK, okay. Well, regarding the clicks-on, yeah, I'm like Dave. I've always heard that called a limit switch, and my encounter with a device like that, it's about a size of a nickel in diameter and about a 1/2 inch thick, something like that, maybe 3/8 thick. And it was on we have 2 water heaters in series, and so I was working on something in the basement one day, and I had the circuit turned off, and so it's got a blower that comes on when the water heater fires up, and exhausts it through the side of the brick wall of the house. So I had turned that circuit off, and when I turned it back on, later I noticed we didn't have any hot water. So one of the water heaters had actually come on when I was working on the circuit, and the blower didn't come on because the blower was on that circuit that I had shut off. So it overheated, and that limit switch had opened up. Well, when it opened up the circuit. When I was tracing it out, I found it went through the thermocouple, and I had lost my pilot light. So got that reset. So I found out what that device was. There's several of them on each water heater. So that was my first encounter with what Charlie calls a click-on. That price of $70 some odd is a little bit over the hill. So anyhow, the lubricant on the roller inductor, I had read somewhere where you needed to lubricate the roller, not the roller that comes in contact, part that comes in contact with the turns of the coil, but the shaft where the roller turns on. And so I ordered some. I got it from Nye Viking, which was, I think they're out of business now, but I have a tube of that stuff in it. But I never did use it for that. I didn't like the idea of putting a conductive material on the shaft of that roller inductor and roller. I felt that it needed to have good contact with the shaft and just keep it clean. So I used contact cleaner and made sure that the coil was nice and clean. But that's my take on it, and I don't use I have a roller inductor on my Transmatch that I built personally, and I have a dual differential capacitor which I got from a capacitor company a number of years ago. They're out of business, but it works quite well. And so let's see. I guess that's about it. Oh, that tax ID number. I was trying to think where I remember seeing the tax ID number. Then it came to me. I saw the tax ID number on a W-9 form that I have to fill out for most all of the colleges that I do electrical service work for on their telexometer, which is X-ray spectrometer. And so you can either put your Social Security number or your tax ID number. And so I don't have a tax ID number and never got one. So I put my Social Security number on there. So I wonder if that would be a possibility of using something like that. Anyhow, that's some of that. So I'll say 73 and look forward to Thursday encounter with the group. And I did hear Jimmy. I know I heard Jimmy. I wonder if someone is playing something back on the air. That's the only thing I can come up with, because Brian heard him and I heard him, and I don't and I'm sticking with it. So over to KN4R. This is WB4ARK.
Okay, Okay, buddy. WB4ARK in the group. KN4R. Well, you're not crazy, 'cause I heard him too. So, anyway, wherever it came from. So, and okay on the tax ID number. Yeah, that's what wholesalers use. They just, I guess the state wants to make sure they get their tax money. So, I'm going to go ahead and say 73. I hope everybody has a wonderful day outside or inside or wherever. And look forward to talking to everybody on Thursday. So, and Gary, good luck with all the house fixer-upper. I need to do the same here, but I don't want to. So, K3OS in the group, KN4R 73s.
Okay, Brian, thank you. KN4R, K3OS. Okay. Back to the roller inductor and stuff. I had a Palstar tuner here for quite a while, and it had an intermittent on the roller. I tracked that down to the sliding contacts on the coil. There are one on each end, at least on that version of the coil, and not on the little wheel that touches with or the bar. But while I had it open and stuff, I cleaned all that out. I think I'm pretty sure I used WD-40 on everything. Clean off all the garbage and put a light lubricant on it, and that was it. And it was perfect from that particular point on. I never had an ounce of an issue, but some dirt and stuff had apparently gotten on the little sliders. The problem with I think it's very similar to some advice the guy who put my garage door in, many years ago when he did the electric openers in the house, and I asked him what lubricant to use and stuff. He says just a little some WD-40 every now and then will do it. He says you put grease in there, it's going to attract dirt and dust, and it's going to screw up all the ball bearings and all that stuff on the inside, because they're kind of exposed, they're not sealed. And I've done that, and the doors are still working fine 18 years later, and there's no gunk and all that stuff in the wheel. So I used a little WD-40 on the Palstar, and it cleaned it right up. So 73s to everybody. Great to talk to everybody. By the way, the signal levels and are up today. The atmospheric noise and stuff is way down. It's really a pleasure. The power company was here. They actually shut the power off, a few days ago for a couple of hours. They have been replacing poles and all sorts of stuff in the neighborhood, and apparently had to do a switchover. We did get warning on that a couple of days in advance, thankfully, and it was only out about 2.5 hours. But whatever it is, things are quiet and very, 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 very pleasant for a change. 73s, we'll catch everybody later. WB4NKL, K3OS.
Yeah, K3OS, it's WB4NKL, 73s, Gary. Glad your noise problems went away. I've been having some here lately, and I wish the power company would get down and do some maintenance on all their poles here, too. It'd be a good thing. It seems like the colder temperatures brought them on. Sounds like you guys experienced a long delay echo on Jimmy's signal. Maybe from a week or two prior, it maybe just finally got back into the area. But that he must have went plumb around the universe and back for that long of an echo. And let's see, Jimmy Freiberg's, you have to try that out. It's downtown. I got two. One of them's in downtown Johnson City, there across from the fountain right there in downtown. Easy to find there on the corner. And they got another one they opened up recently out on State of Franklin Road, where the Food City is. And I hadn't been there in a while, but it got me thinking we might have to make that trip. It seems like we gravitate there more in cold weather than we do in the summertime, also, Charlie. But they've got, besides the Wiener Schnitzel, they've got chicken schnitzel, which is what my wife gets a lot of times, and she likes it. And I usually end up with the sausages. Can't get away from them with the kraut and everything on top of them, and potatoes and fried onions. But good place to eat. I'll stick around to the end. Go ahead, Charlie. W4MEC, WB4NKL.
Okay, Cliff, WB4NKL, W4MEC. Well, the tax ID. Well, back in the day, you could not buy anything from Granger without a tax ID. It's not that they were against you. They don't collect. At one time, they do not collect taxes because they were wholesalers, so they weren't required to collect taxes. But they were, and if you had a tax ID, you didn't have to pay that tax because I believe they assumed you would pass it on to your customer. So. But that was the reason they had the tax ID. I remember back in the day, I think Gray Bar was that way for a while, or it's a couple of parts houses like C&D, something like that. But now someone said, yeah, they pretty much don't do that anymore. They just charge the taxes. Probably online competition is what did that. So let's see, what else we got here? Oh, Clixon they've been making those things since forever, and you find them going back decades, and it'll have Clixon on them. And if you look up limit switches, a lot of times all you get's a mechanical limit switch, like for a door or something like that. But the Clixon was just a generic term for a temperature-operated limit switch that mounted with a couple tabs. But they're just not that way anymore. You can't find them. Nobody stocks them like parts houses. And they were pretty common in things that got hot, electronic things that got hot as a safety device. So you'd see them on heat sinks, and you still do, but they're not Clixon brand. I don't know who makes them. Probably Chinese or something, but they look just like it. But you'd open a Newark or DigiKey or Mauser and put in Clixon, and you get a whole page of selection to choose from. So another U.S. company sold, I guess. So, all righty. And I did not hear Jimmy on Sunday, and I also did not hear John, VVC John. I think he must have doubled with somebody, and I didn't hear the double. But I didn't hear Jimmy at all, and Jimmy said he wasn't on there, so we'll have to believe him. Well, he probably won't do a 73 round because we're over the time, but I'll say 73 here. I'll wait around if you do. But good to talk to you fellas this morning, and we'll see you on Thursday. K4JAL in the group W4MEC. You sure you're here?
Okay. W4MEC, K4JAL. Well, I surely wasn't here on Sunday. I was elsewhere. But at least people were thinking of me. Businessman, and I couldn't eat a whole lot of it now as a diabetic because it's really rich food. Everything is butter and grease, and boy, it's good. So there you go. I'm going to go up to Johnson City and have a schnitzel, though. KF4DRN, K4JAL. 7-3, guys.
K4JAL. KF4DRN. Alrighty, 7-3. Everybody's checked down. Now, appreciate the advice on the roller inductor antenna tuner. And what I'm using here is MFJ 986 3kW roller inductor tuner. I've had to clean it a couple of times since I've had it. It didn't have a lot of that graphite grease in there. It was getting, like y'all was saying, on the coil windings on the drum, I call it. But I cleaned all that off, a couple of times, and then yesterday I did clean the winders on each end of the drum. The winders of that graphite grease in those ball bearings. I didn't use pepper spray. I put on the just slightly. But anyway, I don't crank it around and just I don't go in one direct and like I am right now. That works out good for me. Anyway, I'm thinking about putting up another dipole antenna over at the carport and get a transmitter. Coaxial relay, I guess, and maybe a double throw switch. And I've got some relays, but they're little tiny ones. They may not be broken. On this one, and I'll listen around here. I'll stay around and listen. WA4LLR, KF4DRN.
All right, fine business, Greg. WA4LLR. Well, Cliff, I had made a note before you mentioned it. I said LDE for sure. You know, you used to hear a lot of talk about those long delayed echoes. I saw a few articles on them, but haven't heard it mentioned lately, but I think we've just had one for sure. And I'm going to head up to the kitchen because all this talk about wienering and schnitzeling has got me hungry. So Jimmy, Freiburg's is a good place to go for sure over in Johnson City. Well, folks, thank you all for checking in this morning. Good signals, great net. 7-3, God bless, and everybody have a good day and enjoy the sunshine and the warmth. I don't think it's going to last too long, but boy, love it while it's here. So everybody take care. This is WA4LLR, Dave in Burnsville, North Carolina, closing this session of the Old Friends Net. 7-3.